Hello and good evening. I'm Amir Lahijy. I'm very happy here live from Los Angeles with you. And let's talk about just imagine, go back to 17, 16 years old. Okay, you want to drive. Yeah, of course. All teenagers, they love to drive. Yeah, they love driving car, do a lot of crazy things. So, but you need to get your driver license. You should go to class, take a test, and maybe you fail, try again. So finally you got your driver license. Yes, I'm happy. I want to do this. Let's do it. I want to drive. Okay, sometimes you had accident, lots of things, but when you get your driver license, it doesn't mean you are a good driver. You're just allowed to drive. So, and now I want to talk about relationships. Right, relationships. Are you ready for have a healthy relationship? Are you ready go and have a good relationships? Healthy, right? Let's see. Am I ready for a healthy relationship? And how can I build a healthy relationship? So, I'm here from Los Angeles live, and we are going to talk to Dr. Foojan Zeine. She is marriage family therapist, clinical psychologist, and also Dr. Mitra Khorramshadi. She is a psychiatrist, and she lives in New York, right? So, gladly both is here. Welcome to program.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to see Dr. Khorramshadi also. We're among friends.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you, Dr. Zeine, again. That's a pleasure to be with you guys tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure too. So, you heard my question, and because I'm from Los Angeles, so we want to start with the Los Angeles. Dr. Foojan Zeine, please.
Well, the question is, are we ready? I think there may be a great self-evaluation to look at what does it take for me to be ready? Mm-hmm. I think most of us look at relationship as a phase of life. We probably kind of fall in love in beginning years of our teens, and look at the relationship from a perspective of how much do I adore someone, because at that time is more of an adoration, and what is it that I want to, how much do I want to spend time with someone, and what I need from that type of a relationship. And the needs for different types of relationships differ. So if I just want a relationship to satisfy my fun and sexual needs, it's a different paradigm. If I need someone to be my mate and through time in college and just a couple of years, but I want intimacy in it, but I'm not in the stage of life that I want to get married or have family, takes completely a different readiness from me and who do I choose and what I expect from a relationship versus the time that I want to offer myself into a committed relationship and I'm wanting to get married and have family. I think that who we are and how we're ready is different for each stages of life, and it takes a different way of skills to have to create an amazing intimate relationship with the structure that we are.
Thank you. It's very good. But I want to say my question again. Let me repeat it. Am I ready? And how should I work on myself to be ready for a healthy relationship?
You still want me to answer, or you want to go?
Mm-hmm. That's a question.
I'm answering your question.
But you mentioned about. Go ahead, please.
Well, the way that I'm ready, like if I'm 15 years old and I'm just falling in love and I want to explore sexuality at age 20, all I need to be ready is who do I like and can I handle? How can I be respectful to my body? How can I create boundaries? And that's all I need pretty much. And an experiential concept of being together and finding loyalty and finding intimacy and what is love and what is adoration and, what is friendship. That's all that I'm experiencing. But when I'm, for example, around 30 and I'm looking at marriage, I need to have the skills of negotiation. I need to know what it is that I create the boundary. I need to know myself and know exactly what my needs are. And that's why I was saying, and we could go through as we go along this conversation, in what is needed in each stage. So when do I need it? Depends on what stage I am, because what I need is very different in each stage to know, am I ready or not? Because the evaluation systems are just different in each phase.
So, and Dr. Khorramshadi, what's your opinion and about how can I be ready for a healthy relationship?
I like the point of view of Dr. Zeine, and I agree with her, but I want to come with a different perspective. We do have the different aspects of our maturity. Physical maturity is different from the emotional maturity, and emotional maturity is different from the psychological maturity that everyone goes through. As you know that, a relationship is started with the attachment, and attachment is started from the infancy. As probably Dr. Zeine knows better than me, John Bowlby was talking about the attachment, around 50 years ago. And then Alan Shore from the California, actually, started to make it a modern attachment during the 2012, 2014. And that was really fascinating regarding that, how our brain is making repetition based on our first experience with our first primary caregiver. So I believe that, it's depends on the individual. It depends on the experience that they do have during their childhood, during the, adulthood. So we do have the different type of the experience, and we do have the different type of maturity. So I believe that for everyone is totally different, but how we can get ready for a healthy relationship, it's works on two basic. One is the education, the other one is the practice. So we have to have enough knowledge, we have to get educated. What is the healthy relationship? What is the unhealthy relationship? And then I have to practice between these two to make sure that, I do have enough skills to, start a permanent relationship with someone else.
So, Dr. Zeine, I know you have courses or something to educate people. They want to start healthy relationship, right? You have something like that?
I not at this moment, but yes, I have run a lot of seminars in concept of relationships. So one of the basic concepts is to look at accepting myself. So if I have learned to accept myself, different parts of myself, know that what my needs are, so that I can communicate it clearly. Those are the fundamental aspects of how to start a healthy relationship. I think having an appropriate communication skills is a key to a relationship, because everything that happens in my mind between my thoughts, my emotions, and the dualities that I have, the different things that I want, if I can't bring them together in order to communicate my needs, my different types of emotions to my mate, it's going to be very difficult for them to read my mind. So my expectations of them knowing what's going on inside of me does not work. So I need to know what I need and then communicate it to my mate, to request it from my mate. Knowing and having the ability to regulate my emotions, because my emotions will be consistently triggered within a very close relationship, especially as Dr. Khorramshadi was saying, depending on what type of an attachment I've had, or how I have learned love and connection from my parents, the way they were together or they were with me, is going to bring up a lot of emotional concepts for me. And if I cannot be responsible for first knowing what's going on inside of me, and then knowing that I'm different than my mate, and whatever I put out as a behavior, as a communication, it has to be something that I am clear with, so that I can be clear with my mate in what it is that I want. Knowing and learning the negotiation skills, because there's two people here, so constantly we have to learn how to negotiate and compromise together. So those skills are fundamental to create a healthy relationship, knowing ourselves and then knowing how to behave and coordinate with another human being.
Right. Dr. Khorramshadi, what's your opinion about the negotiation and communication? But I don't want to go out of myself. I want to just focus on myself. Please stay with me, and because today we want to talk about myself. I want to see and I want to know what should I learn and how should I be, and my intention about to have a healthy relationship. Please just talking about myself as a person. I want to have a healthy relationship, and what should I learn for that? Go ahead, please.
That's a very nice question, but it's very deep actually, and we have to have more minutes to talk about it. But if I want to make it very short and brief, I should tell you that the majority of the people for starting the relationship will understand that some type of physical and chemical attraction started, especially during the teenage age for our children. They started having physical attraction to each other, and then they do have the feeling of intimacy to have the sexual relationship. But this is just the surface of everything. And if I want to get ready for a relationship, I should understand that where I'm standing, what is my positive aspect, what is the negative looking for, what is my expectation, is the type of the relationship. I actually understand that getting the neurophysiology of the brain, and then pay attention that majority of the emotion and regulation of this emotion is happening in mesolimbic system. If I want to tell you that, very short and brief, that, what is the mesolimbic system and what is the function of the mesolimbic system, we do have the spinal, and then this spinal cord comes to the midbrain, and midbrain comes to the cortex, which is the brain hemisphere. And mesolimbic system, which is surrounded by a temporal lobe, are associated with the regulation of our emotion, fears, and regulation of this means that to monitor and we have to modify. So basically, our relationship started on many years ago, before we even do understand, during the infancy, and we trying to print it out, that type of the relationship. If it is the secure, loving, and tuned attachment, we're going to go with that pathway. But if it is unsecure attachment, we're going to try to make it, repeat and repeat for that type of the relationship. The majority of the time, we should understand that, we need to learn. No one is going to, come with the 100% perfect type of the relationship, and we don't have the role model, but we do have the knowledge, we do have the science, and we can get enough information from all of the experts, starting from the high school through the all adulthood, and by practicing, and as you mentioned at your beginning of your question regarding that, like driving a car. I do drive a car, but it doesn't mean that I'm a skillful driver. So based on the recent practice, we'll get better and better.
So I understand, I know I should find out if I have an issue with attachment. And also I learn about first I need to connect with myself and love myself, self-love. So Dr. Zeine, what's the best way to learn about self-love and work on self-love? Because if I don't love myself, obviously I cannot love someone else, right?
Correct.
Well, you can love people, but I think that the loving people would be more from the concept of needing them. So you can always love someone because you need them, and we all need each other. I think when we say I can't love myself, that notion is what I call that love is more of an acceptance. Because if I cannot accept myself with all of the sides that I have, all my shadow sides, everything I don't like about myself also, then I cannot be in a place that I can also be accepting of others, that I can tolerate other people as they are. And it's very difficult to be with someone in a healthy relationship if I have an inability to tolerate and accept someone's different parts, because they all come in a package the same way as I come in a package. So how do I get to know myself is through observing myself as I am with different types of relationships. Relatedness is a skill by itself, and we're all in a relationship. We're all in a relationship with ourselves and everyone and everything that comes around us. So the art of relatedness I can look at. I can first observe how my parents are with me and I am with them, how I am with my siblings, how my parents were together, and then how am I with peers and friends, and how are they with me? Because when you look at the different relationships that you have, your work, your career, your boss, your employee, your neighbors, there is a pattern of how we relate. So I can look at the external world as an image and as a result-oriented concept, but that's my mirror. If I'm holding long-term healthy relationships that are non-dramatic, that we don't have drama all the time in it, and yes, we might differ from each other, we might have an opposite view, and we can usually work it out and look at what's going on and come back and reconnect. If I can watch myself do this with my family, siblings, peers, by the time I get to be a teenager, I can look at, okay, maybe I have some relational skills. And then we go into the next level, which is our mate, let's say, or a partner, like an intimate relationship partner. In an intimate relationship partner, we take all of these skills plus the heart attachment that we have, plus the sexual experiences, and all they come together. So then it's an on-the-job learning where, we screw up relationships and we learn. Then we screw it up again and we learn. Because when we look at our parents, we're not getting the role modeling from them of how they dated. We enter the relationship, we're born into their marriage, but we never went out with them knowing, how did they date. So we don't role model from them in the dating process. We role model from our friends in the dating process, which our friends and our peers are pretty much at the same stage. They really don't know much either, and it's like a trial and error concept. So the only way that we can look at ourselves is to look at what we just created in other relationships, with me and other people. And that's why it's important to look at outside of yourself as a mirror effect. That's the feedback you get. If you're constantly breaking up, if you're constantly, finding the wrong mate because you're getting hurt or they're getting hurt, if you're constantly feeling a victim in every relationship you go to, if you're constantly in a war and, a drama afterward, then you really got to look at maybe there are areas in myself that I don't have those skills. And I have to go look at them and what it is that it's not creating the relationship that I want. And then most people don't have a defined way of what are they going for. With your career, the industry tells you what a healthy and successful concept is. With finances, the industry and the world tells you what it is. With an intimate relationship, if we don't have a great role model as our parents and people who are around us, we're clueless. We have no idea. So then we have to redefine our role models about what a healthy relationship is. There are a lot of books, there's a lot of information out there that tell us what a healthy relationship is cognitively, theoretically, but we actually have to go and experience it so that they become ours. The skills are clear. All the books and psychologists and everyone will tell you what the skills are. But to incorporate those skills and bring it live within myself, it really takes a lot of practice to take that in. And our key is to look at where we're failing and turn it around, shift the skill to see what it is that I want to gain, and then practice it and create the healthy skills that you really want to create.
Amazing, amazing. So, I decide I don't want to repeat my, mistakes. I don't want to repeat my whole, pattern, and I decided to learn and maybe take classes or go to, talk to therapists, and a lot of, sources, it's online sources. So, is it any way to mention, looks like when you open the book, in the first pages, you can see the all items inside of this book. Okay, for this class, for this, course, let's call it as a, course. Is it any name for this in psychology? Let's ask Dr. Zeine. Is it any name for this course to be ready for a healthy relationship?
I don't know if there's any courses that are specific. I mean, people create courses with a lot of names.
Mm-hmm.
Within our field, obviously, there's a family systems. That's
Mm-hmm.
the whole concept of family systems that we learn as marriage and family therapists is
Mm-hmm.
learning the family concepts, but as it begins relatedness as a child to their parents and how you parent, and then with every relationship with the family system that shows up, and then we go into the marital concept.
Gotcha. So that's my question for both of you. What do you suggest? If you want to say work on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So obviously you mentioned about something like attachment. I should work on attachment. I should work on my art of communication. If you want to go with this, because I like to continue this conversation next week, and next week maybe whole this month, talking about this topic. What do you think? Do we have enough, material to talk about this topic? Dr. Zeine, please.
We have enough material to go on for hours and hours and years about this topic, because we could, but what I want you to capture is that some things are theoretical, some things are interventional. So something that, for example, the doctor was saying is a theoretical concept of attachment. But how do you see theoretical concept of attachment in every day? Then we need to, as she was saying, do I have an anxious attachment? Do I have an appropriate attachment? Those show themselves in the way that people direct each other within a relationship. But if I just give you, you're looking for an answer, is what I suggest for people when they come to me and say, I want to go into a, deep and ongoing relationship. I ask them first for one intervention. I want you to sit down and write 100-item list. Yes, 100-item list of your ideal relationship. Why 100? Because usually when you ask people, what do you want in a relationship? They'll give you the cliche one. Oh, I want somebody who loves me and they're kind and, respects me. And they'll give you a couple of these terminologies. But love and respect and this and that are very different for everyone. So I said, sit down and write 100 items. I want to know that. Usually they'll write about 25 and they're like, oh, okay, I don't know what else to do. And I'm like, now go look at family. Go look at other people. Go look at relationships which have lasted 60 years. Ask them, interview them. What is the best concept that is in their relationship? Go read books. Go watch romantic movies, right? Pick from them. Expand yourself. Don't get caught into your own limitations. Expand yourself of what the relationship is. 2, everything you start writing in the concept of my ideal relationship, Guess what? If you want it, you got to be able to do it. So first, figure out what you want. 2, figure out how you're going to do it first, because you cannot go out there and say, I demand to be loved, and you have no clue how to love someone. You cannot demand these things from another human being and their relationship when you can't even put it in there. So this way, it becomes a training ground, which now you have a rope, you have a clue in where to go, and look at the bigger picture out there. And then it gives you a defined concept of what skills I don't have. I want it, and I don't even know how to deliver it, right? So then you begin learning those skills of how to deliver what you say you want. You have a vision, now act on it, create it, go put yourself out there to figure it out. So that would be a simple intervention that I could get someone to start doing. That by itself might take months for the person to get themselves ready
for this step. So, Dr. Khorramshadi, you mentioned about we need education and then practice. What's in your opinion education? Which kind of education?
I believe that Dr. Zeine knows better than me that, a majority of her client is a group of the people coming for the marriage therapy. And I believe that, this is a kind of, too late to get educated people for marriage, because they are already in the relationship. Probably they do have the children. And I believe that, everything has to be as a preventive method. We should start education earlier before marriage comes to the picture. Let's get back to the high school people. They are getting enough maturity of physical appearance. They do have enough maturity of emotional capacity, and they want to start a relationship. Do you believe that we should start it at that moment? I believe that this is the right moment before the brain connection develop based on the change of the hormones, change of the peer pressure, and experiences that all the teenagers are experiencing at that period of the time. That's the best time to start the education people. That what is the relationship? What is your expectation about your relationship? What is the outcome of a good relationship, and what is the bad or side effect of the unhealthy relationship? So we are educating our kids for the physics, chemistry, mathematics, science, everything, but we are not teaching them about themselves and about the relationship to the other people. I believe that in high school age, it's a very age to any type of education about being aware about themselves, their capacity, and to their
Dr.
life.
Khorramshadi, I'm sorry, we have a trouble with your connection, your internet connection. It's going to be break. I couldn't get the whole sentence. Dr. Zeine, did you hear that? Did you hear a whole sentence or?
No, some parts of it. I understood that Dr. Khorramshadi were talking about having the education of hopefully, if there's a possibility, for people to start getting educated about relatedness as young as teenagehood, where they're starting to go into a relationship. And at that time, I think that the people who would support them are maybe some parents, but peers. Unfortunately, most of the teenagers don't show up in creating, asking for help. They usually look at the peers and see what they're doing, and they do the same thing. If the parents are solid and they come from a healthy relationship, when the teenagers are going through ups and downs and the drama of relationship and breaking up and going steady, and then all of that, there's a lot of actually affairs in teenagers because they don't know what the commitment is, and almost every single teenager is brokenhearted because somebody told them we're going to go steady, and about a week the steadiness goes away, and they completely fall in love with somebody else. And there's a teenager around that has not experienced that kind of a heartbreak that it goes. And at that time, I think they make a decision about, am I willing to open my heart? Am I just going to shut my heart and say, I'm never going to let anybody betray me and get close to me. So those are the times which like people actually get traumatized around relationship, because not only that they don't know the skills, but girls are very different in those ages. Their needs are very different than boys. Boys, many times they're exploring relationship, and it's much more sexual for them. It's much more of scoring. For girls, it's a lot more of an emotional attachment that comes, and they get very, very, attached to someone, but then they get hurt, and they're like, okay, from here on, I'm not going to get attached. I'm just going to show you. So there's a lot that goes on in that age, as far as the sexuality and the attachment that shows up at that moment. Most people don't have any skills at that time. And what Dr. Khorramshadi said, it would be such a blessing if, whether it's at school or parents or someone can come in and really support them. Obviously, in the family systems that they're educated, and therapy and counseling is something that they do and offer. Yes, that's where I get my teenagers, and they come in and they talk all about their relationship and begin learning skills. The next phase, I think, is college years, when it's much more open. Sexuality is much more open. They're out there and they're getting to know each other, and it's not just maybe the 8 hours that they're in school together, but they have more openness in how to be together. And those are the years that people are still learning in how to get out of just me and what I want, and really learn how to be together out here in the middle with another human being. And that still not necessarily is a long-term attachment, and not knowing what the skills of a long-term relationship is. That's the time that you practice. How can I be with someone else and get their attention and hold their attention for a long time? So the length of relationships get high, beyond like a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and now they go into years, and those take a different skills.
Dr. Khorramshadi, you have a better connection now. Please continue. Can you hear me?
Well, actually, I want to get back a couple of minutes ago regarding that. Is there any classes that we can change this pattern? We do have a neurology. We call it as a clean uncode. When you do have experience, it's coded in your soul. But
unfortunately, we have a problem with connection again.
I don't want to guess what she's saying, but I'm assuming that she's saying that when you have an experience that, the network of your brain codes that experience, whether it's a positive or a negative one. And, you take those experiences and make them into a lesson of learning for yourself. But there's also the aspect of, recoding them, like re-experiencing something. Overall, it's definitely an on-the-job training as you move forward with the relationship.
So we are going to going step by step for this short training in next couple of weeks, and please stay tuned, stay with us, please. We have more subject, and Dr. Khorramshadi and Dr. Zeine, really appreciate. Thank you so much for your time, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.